Alright guys, it's all about retaining walls today. So we're actually going to go out to a job site. Well, actually what inspired me, let me back this up a little bit, is I went to a job site where almost everything that they had done on that project was done wrong. And I realized that I'm spending a lot of time going from one wall to another wall to another wall looking at projects that are in a state of failure that don't need to be. So to clear up the confusion today, we're actually going to bring you to one of my job sites. We're going to talk about the basic fundamentals on how to build a retaining wall, and we're also going to talk about where a lot of guys go wrong. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper than a standard surface video on retaining walls. We're actually going to talk about Geogrid, how to calculate Geogrid. Well, first off, we're going to talk about what Geogrid is, then how to calculate it, how far back to go, surcharging a retaining wall, and all of these different calculations and things like that that actually can impact you guys. It's maybe some of this may be way over your head, but a lot of it, when you build a wall the right way, even a small wall like the one we got going on, you need to take into consideration so that down the road, you got yourself a good looking project. Alright, before we go too far into this video, this is actually the wall that inspired the entire thing. And it's not just because of this one single blowout, it's because they did so many things wrong on this wall. It's insane. So we're going to be bouncing between this job and my job and showing you the differences so you guys can have an awesome project. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but this is fabric. And this fabric right here is part of the reason this whole retaining wall is failing, because this vertical fabric that they put right down the face of the wall traps this dirt, and then instead of it allowing the water to free flow through the wall and gently pass through, it literally captures it and then it's like mud and cake gets caked, captures that water, and it just pushes out the retaining wall. So fabric vertically behind the face of a wall is an absolute, when I say absolute, I mean the only time that you would ever use any kind of fabric is if you were literally going to be building a wall underwater, which we've done, and then you wrap the drainage zone. You don't put it vertically behind the face of the wall. It's a completely different design. So there's no call for this vertical fabric. Now you're gonna have some people that tell you, oh yeah, you gotta put fabric vertically behind the face of the wall. Don't listen to them. Just don't. That's it. I'm not gonna refute, not gonna argue, not gonna discuss. This is what happens when you put fabric vertically behind the face of a wall. All right guys, so our overall scope that we're gonna be doing here is to build two walls at the exact same elevation and tie them together. And how we're doing it is, you can actually see we've got the laser set up right above Tim's head, right Tim? Yep. And you've got the base of this wall set, and then you're gonna set the base of the second wall at the exact same elevation so that the blocks going across the top,
14 feet over that way,
they match up just right. Now you have this wall set. Here's something that I want to point out. Xander, can you grab this camera for me? Yep. This is gonna look a little odd. This may look a little odd to you guys, but look at Tim's block right here. He's got it set 3 inches in front of the wall right now.
Each block has a setback of roughly a ½ inch. So by the time we get up to the top, they want the cap block to overhang and be flush with the edge of the wall. If you start your block back flush down here, you're going to be back here and have like 4 or 5 inches of overhang with the cap, which isn't going to work.
So it's just a matter of calculating how many courses. So how tall is this wall? 4 feet?
4 foot, yeah, about 4 foot.
So this has 8 courses right here?
Yep.
Okay. Each course is a half an inch.
Yep, so you got 4 inches.
So you got 4 inches, so you're starting 3 inches back, so you're going to have 1 inch exposed.
1 inch exposed, and then an overhang should flush the cap with the edge of the wall.
Okay, so the cap, you're going to overhang at 1 inch?
Well, probably about an inch.
About an inch, okay. So
if we got to go a little more,
that'll bring it right out to there.
Right out to the edge.
So he's actually, as the wall steps back, the cap will lean over the top of it. I call it the eyelash. What do you call it?
The what?
Eyelash.
Oh, the eyelash hanging over?
Yeah.
I just call it the cap.
because he's so clever.
Crazy.
He's got such crazy catchphrases. Any other new catchphrases you have, Tim?
I call this block.
Okay.
I know, it's weird, but it works for me.
It works?
Yeah.
Okay.
People get it.
Really a good clear sense of direction. Let's see if
If you said, hey man, eyelash, fix your eyelash, I wouldn't know what you were.
Blaine, what does an eyelash mean? Eyelash?
What does it mean?
Yeah.
What is it?
When we put an eyelash on the wall, what? Okay, here's the scoop. I guess it's a Polish landscaping phrase, because nobody around here is a Polak, so they don't speak my native tongue. It means you're overhanging the block over the top of the wall.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I've never heard it before, but that's what I was going to say.
Why did he say that?
That's the first thing I think of.
What?
Don't you got some numbers you can go calculate or something?
No, they're all done.
Also, we
Fucker.
can talk about we don't build our walls perfectly level either, from front to back.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Go ahead, talk about it, Tim.
So also in the equation here, starting the block 3 inches out, you also don't start your wall perfectly level from front to back. Side to side, always perfectly level. From front to back, I always do about, well, depending on the height of the wall, but in this case, I'm gonna do about a quarter bubble.
A boot?
A boot, a quarter. We're close enough to Canada here, man. Eh?
You're gonna do a boot? Gonna have some casserole?
All right, eyelashes. Anyway, before we eyelash our wall, do about a quarter bubble to the front. That way your wall sits a little bit, and then as you add links of Geogrid, it by the time you get to the top, it should level out.
Okay,
instead
so
of lean.
Let me grab the level. So what he's saying, instead of being perfectly level, he's gonna lean it back, but only a quarter of a bubble. I'm dramatizing. Thank you. I'm dramatizing the effect. Thank you.
He's dramatizing the eyelash effect.
And so then as he puts grid in here, it'll flesh out the top. Now this is not so relevant on this wall because it's only a boot 4 feet tall. But if this was a 20-foot tall wall, which we built, which would have 10 layers of Geogrid in it, that if you started out perfectly flat, as you got to the top, your wall would be leaning over and doing the crappie floppy before it's all said and done. And the flip side of it is, don't go too much backwards. Because we had a guy, I'm not gonna say anybody's name, but he came into our company and he liked to literally put a bubble that much. And I'm like, dude, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But he did it on a job, and then it rained, and guess what happened to that wall? It fell backwards. Literally, the wall, I don't know how a wall could fall backwards, but his wall, luckily we weren't done with it, fell into the hill, and then because the soil washed around the outside of it, and I'm like, told you. But
Yep, you gotta find that happy medium.
he knew more than I did. Do you use deodorant today, dude?
I never use deodorant. I can't smell.
I got that on video.
Dude, he seriously, Tim can't smell. blocks can have little knurls on the top. Those little knurls are going to throw off your level when you go to do it. So what do? We take another block and we use it like a grinding wheel. Slide it across the top. Now this block is ready to be used as base block. But I want to show you something. If you come over here and you look, we've already got 5-6 blocks installed. Now to make sure that every course is pretty much as flawless as possible, we'll take an existing block. We'll set it on top of the retaining wall gently and slide it into place. And what this does, this knocks all the bumps off before we finally put the block in place where it's going to go. All right, to get this party started, the first thing we're actually going to talk about and clarify is Geogrid, and that's this matting. Don't confuse this with filter fabric. A lot of guys do. Okay guys, we've been talking about the use of fabric versus Geogrid, and we need to actually clarify these two things very specifically because I don't want you to confuse these. Fabric is solid. You see how this is a solid piece of fabric, and what happens is the dirt gets clogged up in the pores of this fabric and doesn't allow the moisture, the water, to flow through it anymore, and this actually becomes nothing more than a giant trap for water. And then what happens is, since the water can't pass through, it pushes out. It's as simple as that. Geogrid, on the other hand, oh my gosh. Here's fabric. Here's fabric, guys. You should never use fabric in a retaining wall. And here's Geogrid. Do you see how the Geogrid has the holes and the spacing and the giant wasp right there? Well, okay, it's not giant, but even small wasps hurt. Go away. All right, I'm gonna use my zoom lens. You see how the Geogrid has spacing in it? And that allows the water to pass through, the mud to pass through, but it still holds itself in place. All right, wasp, I'm leaving you alone. Guys do. Geogrid is actually a special geotextile matting that lays in horizontally behind the retaining wall. We never, ever, ever, and I don't know if I can stress ever enough, put anything vertically behind the retaining wall. We'll wait for this to go by. This is really what holds up your retaining wall when you get into projects that are over 3 feet tall. The rule of thumb is 4 feet. You can typically build a gravity wall 4 feet tall, but if you take a look at this project, you can see that all of the walls that we're building here are about 4 feet tall maximum height. Xander, if you walk around, I want to kind of get a shot here to show these guys. Blaine, Blaine, can you come here for a second for me? How tall, what's the height of this wall? Where are we going to be at with this? Right about here.
We're 4 inches below that, so it's going to go right here.
Okay, so we're going to go to that point. Okay, so we're right here. So you got one more course plus a cap block, right? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 feet with this retaining wall, and we have 2 or 3 layers of grid in it. We have 2 layers of grid in it. So this kind of throws out the whole idea that you can build 4 feet without Geogrid. And the reason we have Geogrid in this wall, even though it's under 4 feet, is because we have a surcharge. Now let me talk about what that means. It's a big word, but it's really easy to understand. A surcharge simply means we're placing load on the wall. A retaining wall is going to have 3 scenarios behind it. It's going to be either flat and level, which is a 0 surcharge situation, or a retaining wall is going to hold a slope up. That's a surcharge. The weight of this extra weight of this slope puts weight on the retaining wall, so the wall has to be designed to hold that. The third scenario is you're going to have a retaining wall that actually holds up a structure. That's what we've got going on here. You can't see it yet, but we're actually going to be putting in a sidewalk and other structures on top of this wall. That's why we have Geogrid in this project. Now here's how you calculate your Geogrid. This is going to be a general rule of thumb, and you will need to look up specifics regarding soil and surcharge. But when you calculate your Geogrid requirements for a retaining wall, the easiest way to do it, in general, is to take the height of the wall, and that is the height or the length of the grid behind the wall. So if you have a 6 foot tall wall, your Geogrid should typically go 6 feet behind that wall. And it gets layered every 2 feet. So starting from the bottom of that 6 foot wall, you go up 2 feet, and you should have a layer of Geogrid. Then you go up 2 more feet, so you're 4 feet tall, you should have a layer of Geogrid. And then you go up 6 feet, and you should have your third and final layer of Geogrid behind that wall. And that Geogrid is what holds up the wall at that point. Now, here's some of the things that will change the layers of your Geogrid. The things that will change it are the type of soil that you're using. If you use sand, it's different than clay. It's different than, in this case, we're fortifying it with class 5. Whatever the soil actually is will impact the kind of Geogrid and the length of that Geogrid. The second thing is that surcharge. If you have a surcharge with a slope on it or a surcharge with a building, the weight of the building, the weight of the structure, or the angle of the soil is going to impact what kind of Geogrid that you need and how long it is. So you can't always use that rule of thumb, but at least now you are way too familiar with Geogrid. Xander, are they way too familiar with Geogrid?
I think so.
Yeah. And I fired Elliot as my cameraman. Meet my new cameraman.
It's Skylighter.
He's a way better camera operator. All right, let's talk about the next thing, and that is the drainage aggregate. All right, so here's the cool thing that we're doing about this retaining wall, is we're actually tying one wall to the next wall, and that way we can literally park a tank on the middle of this structure, because nothing can pull this wall out. Because if something tries to pull this wall out or tries to pull this wall out, not only does it have all this mass that it's got to pull, but it's got to pull the entire retaining wall with it. Here's another cool thing. I want you to look at this right here. You can see all of this drainage aggregate. Now typically you only put 12 inches in, but we always go 18, even sometimes 24 inches, and you came at just the right time. Come around here, I want to show these guys what we're doing. We are putting drain tile in, but you don't need drain tile on a wall like this, because the entire wall is designed to allow the water to free flow through it. We only put this in to make our customers happy and to make the engineers smile. Otherwise, if you actually ever see drain tile working on a job site, it's because there are two things happen. The wall was not built properly, or the drain tile is in a state of failure. It's plugging up and the entire system is gonna flop out on you. So you'd never wanna see this actually working, but let me show you how we cut it in over here real quick. Right here you can see that we've got a vent right here. That way the whole thing is integrated seamlessly, and it's just above grade. We don't have it 5 feet above grade, we don't have it below grade, we have it just above grade. That way any water that does go through there, which it won't, but any water that does can just gently waft out without creating a gully washer. All right, so the blocks are almost as important as anything else you do on the project. And when I say almost, well, you got a lot of choices in different blocks. The block that we prefer to use on, I'd say 99% of our jobs, Blaine, is this block right here, because it's solid. If you slide that down, I want to show these guys something. I'm going to use the lifter real quick. All right, so you can see that it's solid from the top. Well, actually, I don't need the lifter. That's all right, Todd. That's all right, I didn't need that part of my arm either.
Nobody ever does.
And it's solid from the bottom. What you see Todd doing is actually pinning these blocks. I want you to basically understand the differences in the blocks. When you guys go to purchase them, you make the right decision right out of the gate. So he's taken these are plastic pins. Let me show these. These are plastic pins, and they go into the, thanks Todd, they go into the pin slot, and then this actually slides into the slot down below it. That's how this particular unit works, but the reason we use these blocks, now these got to actually be set. Go ahead and set that. And you can keep going, Blaine. The reason we prefer these blocks is versus other blocks that you see are hollow from the bottom side up. So a lot of blocks that you buy at the big box stores will either be hollow from the top all the way through, meaning that the block itself is very lightweight, And the reason they sell a lot of these lightweight blocks is because a lot of landscapers, they don't like to lift these heavy things. This block right here, although it's not big, still weighs 83 pounds. So there's a lot of density in this block. When they hollow out the block, the company that hollows it out has less material, less expense to them. That savings goes on to the landscaper or the prosumer that buys it, but the unfortunate truth is sometimes when you don't install those blocks the right way, it can lead to early failure. All right, the first thing that we're looking at, guys, is one of the cheapest blocks out there. Some people are going to argue this point. I'm not going to argue the point with you. It's a common fact. A lot of contractors prefer to buy their blocks from Menards, and these are the blocks they pick up because guess what? These bad boys are light. You can handle these with one hand, pick them up, maneuver them around, and at the end of the evening, your back isn't killing you. You go home, and instead of putting ice on your back, you're putting your ice in your beer because guess what? You're perfectly fine. Well, for a retaining wall situation, that doesn't mean that those are the right blocks for you. A hollow block doesn't do it. I want you to take a close look. What happens to this cavity? Absolutely nothing. These blocks are hollow all the way through. You can see where they don't even have any mass to them whatsoever, and the only thing holding these blocks together is this little tiny lip. This little lip, as big as my pinky. That's it. That's what holds this block to the next block below it. Maybe it's as big as my middle finger. And the way to install those blocks is to make sure that you core fill them. If you're not getting a solid block, what? You say something?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought Xander was talking. I'm used to Elliot, my other cameraman, just randomly interrupting me. So sorry, guys. Anyway, so what happens is, what was I saying, Xander?
Well, core filling blocks.
Oh, okay, so thanks, Blaine. I mean, thanks, Xander, too. So you have to core fill the block to actually make it actually work as an entire system. These blocks you don't have to core fill because the material's there. But here's the problem. When they're not hollow from the top and they're hollow from the bottom, so you'll see blocks, and I'll actually go out to this job site, you'll see blocks that they got a hollow cavity right here. It's not possible to core fill them. You can't get that extra weight, that extra material, that extra connection with the rest of the unit. There is actually a benefit to some hollow blocks when they're built the right way, is core filling them locks them to the courses below. So as you dump the aggregate into the block, it trickles down into the next layer below, and then it locks everything together. So there is an advantage in that way. And here we go. This one is hollow all the way through, all the way down. And these blocks are supposed to be core filled. So part of the success of these blocks, or part of the way they work, is you fill this with rock all the way down and through, and it's like core filling the foundation of your house. Now what happens is it connects the blocks together, and then you put 12 inches behind the wall, and then that allows for the water to drain through, come through the face of the wall. Even as the water's coming through the face, the rock holds it together. So many things done wrong. So many things done wrong on this wall. But with these blocks, by pinning them together, we're taking advantage of the fact that we've still got a solid unit. We don't have to core fill them. The process is faster. These are more expensive blocks, but we like these blocks for a number of different reasons. So picking the right block is very important. I know that's a lot of detail, but I want you guys to be able to understand which block is right for your project. If I was going to make a recommendation, if you're going to go with a hollow block, make sure it's hollow from the top down and that you core fill the block. If you're going to go with anything else, then try to get a solid block and make sure that you can pin them together. There are blocks out there that have these little tiny lips on the back of them, and those lipped blocks, I don't prefer those lip blocks in any situation or circumstance, because we can when we build with those, we literally take what's called a chipping hammer. This is a dead blow. But we literally take a chipping hammer and flip that block up and tap the back of that lip and it snaps off. So if I can tap that lip off, and the reason we do that is when we're basing and when we're making radiuses, but if I can tap that lip off, Mother Nature's gonna beat the heck out of that lip when you're either, when you get hydrostatic pressure or you're getting, inclement weather. It's gonna weaken that lip and it's gonna create problems down the road. So we don't like to use that. So that's probably a lot more than you ever wanted to know about blocks and which ones to choose and why, but what the heck? Why not know about it? Girl, are you being a good girl? Who's a good girl? Are you a good girl? Huh? Are you a good girl? Yes, are you such a good girl? Hello? Hello? Oh, you are looking so skinny. Yes, you are. Oh, yeah. Your coat, your summer coat is so ugly. Yeah, oh, it's so ugly. Oh, I'm sorry. Even your tail, your pretty tail. Oh, I know. Oh, sweetie. Alright guys, now I know we went really in depth on this video, so I need to hear from you. Do you like topics like this? If so, I'm going to keep doing them, but make sure you guys stick around because on the next video, we're going to go step by step and show you guys exactly how to base your own retaining wall block. We're going to take away all of the mystery with that whole process because it is the absolute most important first step. And then we're going to go even deeper and do a little bit of myth busting and talk about why tiered retaining walls are not such a good option and what to look out for when a landscaper comes up to you and offers you a tiered retaining wall. What are they really saying? Plus, we're also going to talk about something that probably most of you haven't even thought about, and why are these retaining walls mortarless in the first place? There's actually a rhyme and a reason to that. So make sure you guys stick around because we're going to dive even deeper. But I need to hear from you. Do you like videos like this where we go real detailed and try to give you a ton of information? If so, I'll make a couple more of them. Well, maybe more than a couple, right? All right, God bless you guys. Go get them. You want to put your collar on? You want to put your collar on? I think that's a no. Come on, you need your collar. Come on, you need your collar. I don't think she wants her collar. Come here. We gotta get your collar on. Come on, we gotta get your collar on. Oh, no, you can't hide. Dang nabbit. This is gonna be a lot tougher than I thought.